Okay, wild take, but both of these commanders are the exact same. One of them is topping EDH Rec's most built commanders out of Secrets of Strixhaven, and the other one is untouched. And an even wilder take here, but the least popular one is probably the better one. So let's break this down because it may leave you wanting to build two decks after we're done here. Sort of. Silverquill and Aziza both do the same thing, copy instants and sorceries, and both want to do the same thing to enable that, make tokens. White and make tokens is the overlap with both of these commanders, and while I was trying to build a $50 brew starting Aziza, I started realizing that the entire white package could be copied one-to-one into a Silverquill deck, and it would be the same. Same game plan? Check. Same cards? Check. So this led me to wonder, could I build two $50 decks where the entire white package overlapped? Which deck would be better? Where do the game plans diverge? And importantly, do red and black give these decks distinct advantages? Let's first look at the difference between our legends. Silverquill gives all instants and sorceries we cast casualty 1, meaning we can sacrifice a creature with power 1 or more as an additional cost to copy it. Where Aziza allows us to tap 3 untapped creatures we control to copy an instant or sorcery spell we cast. Both only allow you to do this once per spell, so the most we're getting is 1 extra copy. Except that Silverquill is an additional cost. It has to be paid as you cast the spell, where Aziza is a triggered ability, meaning you can copy the triggered ability itself. A Kirill or a Strionic Resonator can let you tap 3 more creatures to copy spells again. Neat. On the surface, it may seem like Silverquill gets off to a faster start. You only really need 1 creature to sacrifice to copy a spell, where Aziza needs 3. But Aziza herself can be used to copy spells too, and costs half as much as Silverquill, so you can usually get her off the ground a little bit faster. Silverquill is a much better attacker, granted, and if you're casting more than, say, 2 spells a turn cycle, is likely going to be a better use of resources, but Aziza can start copying those spells on turn 3, where Silverquill usually won't copy your first spell until turn 5. The other leg up Silverquill has over Aziza? Well, he's a frickin' dragon, and dragons kick ass. Let's be dragon agnostic for a moment though, and take a look at what overlaps between these two decks, the entire mono white package. Here's where we get into the modular nature of an experiment like this. I've covered modular decks on the channel before, but this is where you can essentially have 2 decks with half the cards needed. Shuffle your choice of red or black in with this white package and get a brand new deck whenever you want. And the white package is, surprise, token-oriented. It's white's strengths, and it's what both Silverquill and Aziza really want. Keeping it mostly spell-based so we can copy more. We have sorceries like United Front, Hop to It, and SRAM's Expertise, all incredible enablers on their own and game winners when cast and copied. And a big sorcery like Nomad's Assembly can be a game winner on its own, immediately doubling the size of your board when cast, then doubling it again when copied. And with Rebound, you get to cast it again next turn, and copy it again. Neither Aziza nor Silverquill specify that the instant or sorcery you're casting needs to be cast from your hand. It can be cast from your graveyard, the top of your deck, or from exile, and you get to copy it. But really, it's instants where this deck starts to shine. Casting and copying spells on other players' turn is a nasty trick that both these decks can pull off efficiently. Which is where we further lean into token generation on things like Grand Crescendo, which doubles as a gotcha spell, giving your creatures indestructible. Secure the Wastes, a classic, gets even better when it makes 2x creature tokens at instant speed, along with Raise the Alarm, Rally for the Throne, and White Sun Zenith. All make for great ways to either start your token production or end the game at instant speed. Benevolent Offering, Entrapment Maneuver, and Release to Memory all make sneaky tricks that are good on their own and killer when doubled. With Call the Coppercoats, Moogle's Valor, and Perch Protection being game enders when cast on an opponent's turn, and doubled up as a big swingy spell ahead of a lethal attack on your own turn. But one of white's other strengths is removal, which we can also double up to ensure that we're controlling the board. Path and Swords are must-haves in any white deck, of course, but Generous Gift and Stroke of Midnight also means that we can hit any permanent on the board, more so when we double them up to point them elsewhere too. And Two Arms makes an excellent way to, risk-free, either swing to the fences or untap creatures you tap to Aziza rather than sacrifice to Silverquill. But it's not just spells, no. The white package also includes a few enchantments like Intangible Virtue, Tokasha's Welcome, and Dazzling Theater / Prop Room for some utility across the board. And your big finisher is Kin Binding, which makes either version of this deck immediately lethal with just a single spell cast copied. Along with a small collection of mono-white creatures common to both lists, Leonin Light Scribe helping to extend our army when we're casting and copying spells. With Aziza and this guy, you can essentially get a free extra copy every cast. Rumor Gatherer, who loves seeing tons of creatures enter the battlefield under our control, giving us some card selection and card draw. And even more card draw in the form of Welcoming Vampire, rewarding us when our little guys enter the battlefield each turn. And you can easily see the overlap in these pieces. The entire suite of white cards serves either commander perfectly. Spells that make tokens, removal, card draw. And you start to see what I mean when I say that these decks are the same. Different colors, different commanders, same deck. And here's where we diverge. The red package and the black package offer two very distinct and unique approaches to the rest of the deck. Let's start with a neat trick. When you copy a spell on the stack, like both Silverquill and Aziza do, you don't have to pay additional costs again. So when black's additional costs sacrifice creatures to draw cards like on Village Rites, and red's additional costs discard cards like on Demand Answers, you start to see the divergence in perspective. For black to double a spell with an additional cost like Corrupted Conscience, they need to sacrifice a creature for the spell, then sacrifice a creature to copy it. You've traded 2 creatures and 1 card in hand for 4 new cards. For red to double a spell with an additional cost like Thrill of Possibility, you need to discard a card and tap 3 creatures to copy it. You've traded 2 cards for 4 cards. This is where I think red gets a bit of a better advantage. Doubling the card draw from red, like on Laughing Mad, Sazakap's Brew, or Tormenting Voice, doesn't set you back in in-play permanents. Just cards from your hand and mana. But doubling black's card draw, like on Night's Whisper or Sign in Blood, is going to cost you life on top of spell costs. Now you're out 4 life and a card for a creature and 4 cards. But that is before we add in synergies. So let's take a look at the next differentiation between the 2 colors, how they deal damage. Red prefers to deal non-combat damage to win. Impact Tremors / Reptile Rager, Witty Roastmaster, and in just doing what we want to be doing, making tokens, we can whittle down opponents pretty easily. The redundancy here is insane, as we also get Weftstalker Ardent, Molten Gatekeeper, and Raphael Tough Turtle to stack this up further. With additional game enders being copying a big X damage spell, like with a Crackle with Power or even a Fireball, to finish off the entire table. Whereas black relies on aristocrat effects mostly, like Cruel Celebrant, Elias Ilkor, and Zulaport Cutthroat, which is where sacrificing our creatures to double up on spells may not be as bad as it looks on paper. With enough redundancy for life lost when making or sacrificing creatures, as with Corpse Knight, Mirkwood Bats, or Arnon Deathbloom Botanist, there may be some games where you don't even need to attack to win in either color. Black also has its share of X spells to copy in endgames too, like Exsanguinate or Debt to the Deathless, putting them on even ground. But it's spells like Massive Raid or Surge to Victory that red gets that black doesn't, that really give red the advantage in being able to close out a game based solely on doubling spells. While both colors have ample token generation, with black bringing Ophiomancer, Attempted Murder, and Revenge of the Rats to the table, while red offers us Tempt with Vengeance, Dragon Fodder, and Hordling Outburst, just to name a few. Where black has Dread Summons, red has Fury Gale Flocking. Where black has Blot Out the Sun, red has Song of Totentans. Where black has Spoils of Blood, red has Forbidden Friendship. The 2 colors are neck and neck in token generation, both doing amazing work to ensure your army grows and grows until you overwhelm opponents. Lastly, on the removal front, black gets a bit of a leg up. Red really needs to rely on damage to remove creatures like with Blasphemous Act, and rarely gets non-damage targeted removal like Chaos Warp. But black gets premium removal that the deck helps enable further, like Tragic Slip or Lethal Schemes. Both colors rely on white's removal to hit artifacts and enchantments, but black really does creature removal better. So, as it stands, red has better card draw. Both colors are even for win cons. Red slightly beats black for token generation, and black beats red for removal options, making, on a budget, the Aziza red and white brew overall faster, better, and stronger than the Silverquill black and white deck. However, where we find the biggest winner will be with the upgrade. And this comes down to big mana. If red wants to scale better and faster, the only options in red and white are going to be treasure generation and rituals. A Brass's Bounty still requires a lot of mana to cast initially, but a Mana Geyser could put you into dozens of mana when copied, enough to end the game with a well-placed X spell. Black, on the other hand, brings the 1-2 punch of Cabal Coffers and Urborg to the fight, allowing you to get repeatable big mana generation on a scale that only ever grows, unless your pod plays land destruction. Being able to power out bigger X spells faster, including Exsanguinate, Stensian Sanguinist, or Torment of Hailfire, turns into your primary win con instead of Aristocrats or attacking in the Silverquill deck. Scaling each deck up to include Game Changers also gives black the victory, as including Bolas's Citadel or Tutors goes a lot farther in making your deck powerful and consistent, better than red's options of adding in just Jeska's Will or Underworld Breach. Both decks could absolutely benefit from an Ancient Tomb, however. With a few more bucks, red does get access to Warleader's Call, and Agate Instigator, and Perforos God of the Forge, which certainly helps with consistency and redundancy, but not quite the power oomph that black may get from their baseline Game Changers. Red surprisingly gets a massive boost from an upgrade for white in Delny Streetwise Lookout. Being that Aziza is a trigger and is power 2 or less means that you actually get another opportunity to copy your spells with Delny in play. This is another good allocation of a few bucks to make the entire deck work a little bit better. So you can really see why both of these decks are the same. They do the same thing, and changing out only half of the deck can give you the same experience across slightly different vectors. If you're itching for a new deck and want 2 for the price of like 1.5 new decks, check out this Silverquill and Aziza modular pair. Let me know in the comments, which of these brews is better on a budget? Are they as similar as they appear or as similar as I'm making them out to be? And which one would you prefer to play in your pods at home? And don't leave without checking out my sponsors like Card Conduit. They are hands down the easiest way to sell your individual Magic cards without the hassle of traditional buy listing. They'll get you top dollar while handling all of the heavy lifting, from sorting to grading to optimizing your price across a huge network of vendors. And they'll give you cold hard cash for it. You can use the promo code MECHANIC right now for 10% off of all fees. And if you want to pick up the cards for this list, make sure to go check out Card Trader. Use my promo code MECHANIC right now for 5% off your order from any TCG. Card Trader's zero system means you can get cards from all over the world with only one shipping fee. Save money and time today. Lastly, you can check out all of my decks on Moxfield. Moxfield is the best deck building platform in the world and makes it easy to build decks and search for specific cards with their powerful tools. Have you checked out their drag and drop feature yet? It's revolutionary. Be sure to check out my brews and follow my profile there right now. If you were inspired to brew today, you have to hit that subscribe button. Check out this other deck on my channel right now for more sweet tech. And as always, folks, good luck and have fun.